In the small, picturesque town of Willowbrook, nestled among the rolling hills and dense woods, stood a house unlike any other. It was an imposing mansion, a grand relic of the past with its towering spires and ornate facade. The locals referred to it as the Ashcroft House, named after its original owner, Samuel Ashcroft, a man whose legacy had cast an eerie shadow over the town for generations. I had always been intrigued by the stories that surrounded the Ashcroft House. Tales of mysterious disappearances, unexplained phenomena, and ghostly apparitions had turned it into a local legend. I couldn't resist the allure of the unknown, and so, when the opportunity arose to purchase the house, I didn't hesitate. Moving into the Ashcroft House was like stepping back in time. The interior was a blend of antique charm and faded grandeur, with high ceilings, intricate woodwork, and grand fireplaces that hinted at a time when the house had been a place of opulence and privilege. Yet, despite its beauty, there was an undeniable sense of unease that settled upon me as I explored my new home. It wasn't long before I began to experience strange occurrences. Doors would creak open on their own, and chilling drafts of air would sweep through empty rooms. I heard whispers in the dead of night, voices that seemed to echo from the very walls themselves. At first, I dismissed these incidents as mere quirks of an old house, but as time passed, they grew more pronounced and unsettling. One evening, as I was reading by the fireplace in the grand library, I heard the faint sound of footsteps on the wooden floor. I looked up, expecting to see one of my friends or perhaps a neighbor who had dropped by unannounced, but there was no one there. The footsteps continued, growing louder and more distinct. They seemed to be coming from the hallway just outside the library. My heart pounded in my chest as I set down my book and cautiously made my way to the door. As I opened it, a gust of cold air rushed past me, and the footsteps stopped abruptly. I peered into the dimly lit hallway, my breath catching in my throat. Standing there was a figure, a shadowy silhouette of a man in a tailored suit. "Who are you?" I stammered, my voice trembling. The figure didn't respond, but instead, it began to move, gliding down the hallway and disappearing around a corner. I hesitated for a moment, then followed, my curiosity overcoming my fear. The figure led me through a maze of corridors, up a grand staircase, and into a long-forgotten part of the house. The air grew colder and the walls were adorned with faded wallpaper and peeling paint. It was a section of the house that I hadn't explored before, and it felt like stepping into a forgotten time. The figure finally came to a stop before a door, one that looked older and more weathered than the others. It slowly pushed it open, revealing a room that was frozen in time. The furniture was draped in dusty sheets, and cobwebs hung from the chandeliers. In the center of the room stood a grand mirror, its ornate frame reflecting the figure and me. The figure turned to face me, and as I looked into its eyes, a chill ran down my spine. They were the eyes of Samuel Ashcroft, the original owner of the house, the man whose legacy had haunted Willowbrook for generations. I couldn't tear my gaze away from the figure. Samuel Ashcroft's spectral form appeared to waver, as if struggling to maintain its presence in the mortal realm. He pointed at the mirror, his gaze pleading. I approached the mirror cautiously, my reflection merging with his in the glass. It was then that I saw it, the reflection of a young girl, her eyes filled with fear and sorrow. She appeared to be trapped within the mirror, her ghostly form struggling to break free. "Help her," Samuel Ashcroft whispered, his voice filled with anguish. I reached out to touch the mirror, and as my fingers made contact with the cold glass, I felt a surge of energy pass through me. The room seemed to shimmer, and the young girl's form grew more distinct. With a final burst of effort, she broke free from the mirror, her ghostly form materializing before me. She was dressed in a tattered 19th century gown, and her eyes were wide with terror. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice barely audible. I had so many questions, but before I could ask them, the room began to shake. The walls seemed to close in around us, and the mirror shattered into 1,000 pieces, each shard reflecting the terror in the girl's eyes. As the room continued to convulse, I grabbed her hand and we ran from the collapsing room, through the maze of corridors and back into the well-maintained part of the house. The tremors ceased as suddenly as they had begun, leaving us standing in the hallway, gasping for breath. The girl's form began to fade, and she looked at me one last time, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you for setting me free," she whispered before vanishing completely. I stood there alone in the hallway, the events of the evening replaying in my mind. Samuel Ashcroft's restless spirit had led me to the girl trapped within the mirror, a soul in need of release from a century-old curse. From that day forward, the Ashcroft house was no longer haunted by its disturbing past. The unexplained phenomena ceased, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted. I often wondered about the girl I had freed, and I couldn't help but feel a deep connection to the house and its history. I had gone from a skeptic to a believer, and the Ashcroft house had become my home, a place where the past and present were intertwined in ways I could never have imagined. It was a place of mystery and wonder, a place where I had encountered a disturbing true ghost and, in doing so, had become a part of its haunting history. Who do you think was the mysterious girl stuck in the mirror? Write your opinion in the comments section. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and press the notification bell. See you again next time.